Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Hello? All right, all I'm seeing is black out here on the monitor, so I don't know if we were up or not. Good Sunday morning, broadcasting here from a cave. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios, or Junk Be Gone Cave, for the Sports Source. If people at home had any idea what went into local television, your hair would be grayer than mine. It's maddening, so there may be some glitches and stuff today that happen. Trust me, I'll be cursing a lot more than you will. We will be talking today, though, about Tennessee basketball. Got a big win yesterday. Wasn't necessarily the most beautiful thing. Nobody's going to hang it on the wall at the Louvre, but we'll discuss that. There were a lot of people that were taking to social media upset with the style of the victory. Do style points matter? We'll get into that as well. But we got football recruiting. We got football on top of all basketball. Let's just get into it and pray our way through this one. This first segment of our show brought to you by our friends at the Garza Law Firm. Hey, there we go. You know that at the Sports Source, we partner with local businesses to bring you this show. Local is better, always. And that certainly goes for attorneys. You need someone with a history and knowledge of the local system. That's Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm for years and years and years. If you are within the sound of my voice, which is appropriate since we were in black earlier, if you're within the sound of my voice, if you can see us today, then you are in Garza Law Firm country. Give them a shout if you need legal advice or legal help. All right, let me welcome in the first group of panelists today. We have former Vol basketball assistant, former D1 basketball player Mark Pancratz right there. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.
From GoVols 24/7, we have Ryan Callahan. Thank you for being here, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
And right over here, back with us, Chuck Cavaliers, longtime sports writer, longtime member of this panel. And for those wondering, yes, our monitor is off for the time being. Okay. As I said, it wasn't pretty, but Tennessee knocked off number 25 Auburn yesterday, 46-43 in a throwback to the Conzo Martin and Kevin O'Neal eras. Beat Bruce Pearl for the second straight time. The teams combined, however, to hit 30 of 118 shots. That is roughly 25%. They were just 5 for 48 from three-point range, so it wasn't pretty. But let's get everyone's big takeaway from that one, starting with former Bruce Pearl player and Bruce Pearl assistant, Mark Pancratz.
Well, I think Josiah Jordan-James was the difference, and his health and his seniority, just being able to show up, making big pull-up jump shots in big moments, having, I think, 13 or 14 rebounds. He was ultimately the calming effect that the team needed on the offensive end. And then the way that Auburn did some of their ball screens, him being able to switch and guard their bigger guys and then also get out on Green, his play yesterday was the difference.
Yeah, 15 points, 14 rebounds. Gentlemen?
That was his first double-double of the season. Did you know? I mean, that surprised me when I saw that. So that was the perfect time for him to be able to step up and do that.
Biggest takeaway of the game?
Hey, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. Just flush it. That's what I would say. Try and get healthy. I just don't feel like this team's healthy, but you got the W, and you're going to be going to Vanderbilt Wednesday. Let's get back on track.
Ryan, what did you take from that game?
Obviously, hard to get past the shooting. It's the type of coming off the Florida game. Obviously, you wondered if they were going to have a better effort, and so for them to follow that up with another game where offensively things just weren't firing on all cylinders at all. To me, Kamwa shooting so badly, in addition to Ziegler and Vescovi, is a concern. To have three guys that cold in the same game, taking that many shots is obviously not ideal. But I'll say this: if you're looking for the positive, I know everyone's probably going to focus on the shooting. Positive to me is you found a way to win a game, and we've talked about this. This may have to be Tennessee's path in the tournament. Win with defense. They were able to overcome a game where all three of those guys that they depend on so much for scoring shot so poorly, found a way to win. It was Josiah Jordan-James this time. Maybe next time it's someone else, but they found a way to pull through on a day where their offense clearly wasn't there.
Yeah, I think Bruce Pearl's probably feeling the same way. He said after the game it was a rock fight. I know he wasn't happy with the call there at the end of the game. As we said, when Tennessee lost at Arizona and Arizona got the calls, that's typically what happens in basketball. End of the game, I thought Tennessee got the right call, or they got the call, let's put it that way. That's why I don't cry about officials. It all comes back your way at some point, but Bruce Pearl didn't seem to be thrilled there at the end. Mark, your thought?
I was going to say one thing that Chuck said that they flush it. I don't think you can at this point because just coming off the performance against Florida,
27% from the floor 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, so there's something going. Now, they had some open shots. Like Josiah had some open threes that he's normally going to knock down. There was open shots. Olivier, a couple games ago, he scores 27 points. The guy in front of me screaming at the game yesterday, yelling, take him out, take him out. I'm like, the guy was 10 for 10 a couple weeks ago, 27 points. He's just missing. But I don't think you can just flush it when you've seen this happen multiple times. One, to me, they look tired. They looked tired in that Florida game. They looked tired the previous week, even though they won, I think it was against Georgia, whoever it was. But they looked tired. And so something in the training, in the practice, they've got to look at it because they're too good of a team to be having these type of offensive performances.
Now, Rick Barnes said after the game yesterday that all teams are tiring down. It's a tough part of February. But we've talked about it many ways over the years on this show. We looked back a few years ago at the numbers showing that he typically plays a greater percentage of minutes for his starters than other coaches. That was 3 or 4 years ago. We broke that down. Now this year he's got a deeper team, but you've broken down a couple of times. You've mentioned the fact that you're up 25. Why are the starters still in there? Why are you having to get this many minutes out of somebody when you're up this big? And Chuck, you've said for many years, and you brought it up that someone had told you this last week, that they work so hard in practice that you sometimes wear them down. I just wonder if that is that just part of what goes along with Rick Barnes' defensive style, that we're going to work you like crazy in practice, and we just hope you can make it to the end of the season.
I'll do the comparison of Pearl and Barnes just because I know Pearl better, but Barnes works these kids, and they do get better. Their skill set and their player development is highly renowned if you just look at the results, and it's highly renowned within the college basketball community. The difference is Pearl, he's going to get your guys ready to play when the lights come on, meaning it's all about being at your highest peak performance come game time. So he's not doing as many, they call them vitamins, like the extra workouts and the skill development stuff during the week because he wants them as fresh as possible for Saturday or for the games. Whereas Barnes, he's still doing a lot of player development stuff, not as much as he used to from what I've been told, but he's still doing a lot of stuff in and around practices that are more intense than what you see some of the other coaches that are doing.
Well, let's get back to that. Let's talk for a second about, and we're going to spend the next couple of segments talking about style points and style of play, et cetera. But Zakai Ziegler yesterday, the negative, he was 0 for 10, wasn't good he was 0 for 7 from 3, and yet, he steps up and hits 2 free throws late that you needed them after Tobiawaka had missed a couple. I thought that was a good sign that at least with all else going wrong, Ziegler was able to step the line and kind of put those are the 2 points that made the difference in the game.
Well, if you're going to play inside out, you can't have bigs that are 1 for 7 from the free throw line. Euros is like shooting 20% the last 10. I mean, he's not making anything. Yeah. So it's big that you got a point guard that's going to knock down free throws. But this team, from an offensive standpoint, no transition baskets.
Yeah, you've had 0 fast break points in the past 2 games.
Well, they average 8 fast break points a game for the year, which is just tiny.
And then I was even looking, guys, you're not getting anything out of the secondary. You're not getting anything after you get the ball past midcourt. You're still having to go to half court. You're struggling. Your bigs aren't converting at the basket. Your perimeter guys are not knocking down shots. I mean, it's across the board.
Go ahead.
I was saying, in addition to Ziegler coming through with the free throws late, Vescovy with maybe the shot of the game, the 4-point play, obviously. Had an otherwise terrible shooting performance, but came through with a huge shot when they really needed one.
And
hang on. We cut you off.
I just think from what makes this team great. I mean, they are great. They're a really good team. Yes, their defense. But Barnes they're a very disciplined program. And so they're not going to beat themselves. Missing open shots is not beating yourself, like turnovers and that type of thing. That's what makes this team have a chance to win and beat anybody in the country, is because they are disciplined. They do work hard, but they aren't going to beat themselves.
In the game, don't inbound the ball into the corner right in front of the opponent's bench. I mean, that was the play that could have beat you. I mean, and I can see the call going either way on the three-pointer. I hate seeing a team inbound.
Yeah, there's no question.
No doubt.
He fouled him going up, and he fouled him coming down. He fouled him twice. You also had a ball that I thought went off Tennessee's leg there late. So, I mean, look, that stuff happens. Again, that all comes out in the wash, in my view. At Arizona, you didn't get the calls. Yesterday, you got the calls. That's just basketball.
And they let him play yesterday. That was in line with what they did the rest of the game. Not many fouls called.
Again, it contributed to the fact it was a rock fight. Yeah. I mean, they let him go at it. All right.
They ran out of rocks.
Let me tell you what's still to come on this show, if we can get to it. All right, still to come. Are style points needed, or are wins enough? We'll discuss that. Vols recruiting and the tight end coach that was hired. We'll talk about that. Texas and Oklahoma news. Is that good for Tennessee that they're not going to be in the SEC for a couple more years, or could that be bad for Tennessee? We'll discuss. How bullish are we on Josh Heupel and UT football, and how bullish are some of the national writers on UT football, plus much, much more. But when we come back, is Rick Barnes' obsession with defense detrimental to his offense? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.